Tonight, emergency services are on high alert on bonfire night. After recent targeted attacks, they're bracing for a busy night ahead.
I'm at Police Scotland's Operation Hub to hear how they're working to keep our streets safe.
We will be in the affected communities, standing shoulder to shoulder with communities to try and protect them as best we possibly can.
Also making the headlines, a police officer involved in the arrest of a man who died in custody says the incident still haunts her to this day. STV News goes behind the scenes of one new Christian church which claims there's been a huge rise in young Scots turning to religion. And in sport, the Rangers boss Danny Rule brands Austin trustees foul as dangerous and believes the Celtic defender should have been red-carded.
And I'm live in Kilwinning, where this year's fireworks is about to start with a different kind of bang.
I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. One of Scotland's largest policing operations is underway to tackle violence and antisocial behaviour on bonfire night. Emergency services around the country are poised to deal with disruption tonight after they were bombarded by missiles and fireworks in incidents across the country last year. Our reporter Laura Piper joins us now from the Police Operations Hub in Edinburgh. Laura, what's the update? What's the latest update?
Yes, John. Well, this is the control room where all the emergency services are based tonight. At the moment, Police Scotland say that things are running smoothly on what really is a significantly busy night for our emergency services. The fire service have already told us here that they're expecting up to 1,000 calls. Police Scotland say that they've devoted more resources than ever before after having to see an increasing level of targeted attacks on emergency crews over the last few years. They say that they're going to have a zero-tolerance approach to any antisocial behaviour or violence tonight.
First and foremost, guys, good afternoon. I'm Scott Keys.
It's bonfire night, and in Edinburgh, the first wave of public order officers are being sent out. Inside the station, the streets are being closely watched for any signs of trouble. This is the control centre for tonight's operation. Over here we have live CCTV feeds from across the city. In this room are police intelligence and police tactical advisors, as well as the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service and the ambulance service, all here preparing for the night ahead. After years of targeted attacks on emergency crews, this is a major operation for the police. Over the last few weeks, officers have already raided lockups, seizing more than a ton of fireworks allegedly being stored to be used as weapons.
We will be there, we will be in the affected communities, standing shoulder to shoulder with communities to try and protect them as best we possibly can. I would give that reassurance that we will see significant deployment of officers within E-Division. All our community policing teams will be focused on patrolling, engaging with young people, addressing these issues to try and help communities feel safe.
In recent years, much of the disorder at street level has involved young people. Police have increased their work in schools, hearing directly from children about their concerns. Lara says her family have had to prepare in case bonfire night incidents lead to a delay in services reaching them.
My dad has been critically ill over the last year and a half. Knowing that if something did happen and we couldn't get the help, that would be really stressful. And we have a defibrillator in our house, which is not a normal thing, but we've got it just in case.
I've always been a bit afraid of the police, especially because of how I grew up and the type of police officers around me. I've always been quite skeptical around them.
Just doing these two events has helped us feel more safe. So
yeah, if other schools are able to meet them as well, I feel like most young people would feel the same way.
In areas now used to disorder, local clean-ups have already taken place. Bricks or bottles that could be thrown have been removed, as well as anything that could burn. Fireworks control zones are currently active across Edinburgh and Glasgow, with a heavy police presence expected in all 12 areas. Fireworks are banned in Pollokshields, Govan Hill and Broomhouse in the west, and in the east, Balerno, Calton Hill, Castorphin, Gracemount, Longston, Morden, Niddry, Seafield and Sighthill. Tonight, emergency services remain on standby, prepared for whatever this year's bonfire night will bring. Laura Piper, STV News, Edinburgh.
A police officer who was involved in the arrest of Sheku Bayo, the man who died in custody 10 years ago, said the incident still haunts her to this day. Nicole Short was one of the officers who responded to reports that Mr Bayo was carrying a weapon in a street in Kirkcaldy. She says a part of her died that day and wants her name cleared after allegations of racism. Our political correspondent Ewan Petrie has the story.
There's a part of me that died that day and she's never came back.
Nicole Short was one of 6 police officers called to multiple reports of a man carrying a knife in Kirkcaldy 10 years ago. Sheku Bayo later died after being restrained by her colleagues.
I was shouting, get back, stay back. His face just got really close to me and I was running before he even knew it. I was running away and I was screaming no. I knew he was going to hurt me, and then I felt the punch at the back of my head.
Colleagues told Nicole Mr Bayo stamped on her when she lay on the ground. Doctors found no evidence of significant injuries, but Nicole believes fellow officers saved her life.
I staggered over to the other van, and that's when other officers arrived.
But you thought you were going to die that day?
Yeah.
Nicole stepped down in 2019 and still suffers post-traumatic stress disorder.
And that was what you had to be prepared to deal with?
Yeah.
This afternoon, her own lawyers brandished a knife similar to the one police say was recovered at the scene. The public inquiry is looking into whether race was a factor in how police dealt with the incident.
Was there a racist element to this? Were you or any of your colleagues racist?
No, not at all. For all these years I have walked about with this question mark, this cloud over me, and that's why I'm speaking out now, because we're not that.
Last month, the inquiry chair and legal team resigned after Lord Brackadale met with the Bayo family. Officers have also expressed concern over the First Minister's invitation to meet them. Today, the family described Nicole's words as grotesque.
There's only one person that died that day, and that's why there was a public inquiry. A 31-year-old black man who was unarmed. Peter Watson can wave about a knife all he wants. The reality is, the facts are, when the police arrived, he was unarmed. He was CS sprayed, Pava sprayed immediately. And then there's an incident between him and Nicole Shaw. But following that, he is restrained by up to 6 police officers. They use handcuffs, ankle cuffs, leg restraints, up to half a ton weight upon him, multiple lacerations, a broken rib, a fractured rib, cuts, etc. And within the space of a few minutes, he is not breathing. He dies.
The inquiry is in its final stages, but an already lengthy process has been delayed even further. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
Prosecutors in Utah say the 9 other women who independently came forward to report they have been sexually assaulted by the fugitive Nicholas Rossi are from across the United States. The allegations came to light yesterday as a judge handed down a second jail term to the 38-year-old who faked his own death and adopted a false identity in Scotland in an attempt to evade rape charges. Rossi, who was arrested in a Glasgow hospital almost 4 years ago, will spend at least the next decade behind bars.
They're from all over the United States. They're not from Utah. And so those aren't things that we can do. I can't prosecute crimes that took place in Ohio or Rhode Island or Florida or any other place like that. I can only prosecute crimes that took place in Utah County. And so if those are going to be prosecuted, it would be up to the local prosecutors there.
And for more on all the twists and turns of this long-running story, you can watch Sharon Few's documentary Who is Nicholas Rossi on the STV News website. While the congregations of some traditional religions have dipped dramatically in recent years, one new Christian church claims its membership is booming. A recent study found the number of Gen Z and millennials attending church on a regular basis has quadrupled in the last 6 years. But critics argue using social media to attract young people to religion gives them a false sense of hope. Laura Alderman has the story.
On a rainy evening in Carmyle, hundreds of people rush into this event. And finally, all that's left is standing room. But this isn't a sold-out gig of a famous band or artist. It's Home Church's Sunday night service. Recent months, their congregation has grown rapidly, fuelled largely by Gen Z and millennials joining the church, part of what's being called the Quiet Revival. Chloe is 17 and came to this church after her dad was diagnosed with cancer.
Because all of that, it was like one thing after another, and I was like, this is never ending. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get from here to the other side of this. I think it's because of social media, because people are openly showing their faith now, because I think like when one person starts, so does everyone.
Tonight, Chloe's decided to make her relationship with God official. And she's not the only one. As more traditional institutions like the Church of Scotland experience dwindling congregations and financial pressures, the pastor of Home Church claims it's now become one of the fastest growing churches in Scotland.
God, we're so grateful. I think one of the key things is preaching the gospel in a language that people understand. So I think probably this year, there's probably 50 people in our church that came from TikTok just this year. I think young people, they were maybe searching for purpose, or searching for identity, searching for truth, and they're not finding any. But they're coming, they're hearing the Bible preached.
As the service drew to a close, I had some final questions for Pastor Dave.
Would you accept members of the LGBTQI community into this church?
There are many in the church. We hold to a traditional biblical view of what marriage is, for example. So you're right, society's changed, but we don't believe Jesus has, and we don't believe the Bible has.
In 2023, Pastor Dave came under fire for referring to the election of Rishi Sunak and Humza Yousaf as a scheme of Satan, claiming a Christian can't get a seat at the table. Comments, he says, have since been taken out of context.
I find it worrying when people state publicly words which go completely against the Equalities Act. These young people are being targeted through, a lot of the time, social media, algorithms. They are being bombarded with information. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. And a lot of young people can't decipher the difference between the two.
Although the most recent census found the majority of Scots don't follow any religion, leaders and academics say that could very well change in the years to come. Laura Alderman, STV News, Carmyle.
Sprinklers are to be made mandatory in old buildings which are converted into hotels if changes to the law are passed. It comes after a fatal accident inquiry held into the deaths of Simon Midgley and Richard Dyson, who were killed in a fire at the five-star Cameron House Hotel almost 8 years ago. The Scottish Government says the change will be named Simon and Richard's Law. As Steve Clarke and his players gear up for this month's pivotal World Cup qualifiers, another one of our national teams has already secured an historic victory. The country's amputee football team have been crowned Group D champions of the European Amputee Football Nations League. Tara Fitzpatrick met the team's star striker at Hampden following a victorious return from Romania.
This was a moment years in the making. After wins over Kosovo, Albania and hosts Romania, Scotland's amputee football team were crowned European champions in Bucharest.
Top goal scorer was amazing, so it was.
Landing back on home soil, the celebrations are continuing for star striker Harris Tinney. The 17-year-old's performance saw him crowned best young player and top goal scorer.
So I had the confidence for the start. I said I thought I'd won it, and then just obviously didn't want to be too confident, but need to have a bit of confidence.
Harris lost his leg shortly after birth, becoming one of the youngest amputees in the country.
I had amniotic bands wrapped down to my ankle and my fingers when I was just a baby. And at 5 days old, basically there was like no growth, and the doctors said either he could be in a wheelchair or he could amputate it, and hope for the best, and basically Mum and Dad just thought for the best of me, amputate it and give me the best chance possible.
It's a big decision to make.
I know it is, but I'd said this, it's probably the best thing I could have done, so it is. Nothing ever really holds me back now. I see, because it happened at such a young age, it's like, it's normal to me.
The win is extra special for Harris, whose dad manages the team.
I encouraged them for day dot, for when Harris first started school. It was a case of shots on, show everybody your leg, don't be ashamed of anything you've got, you're just the same as the guy next to you. He's got a winning mentality, he doesn't like losing, and he's competitive, so he takes that into his game.
The victory has captured the attention of some of the country's most legendary talents.
How you doing, guys? It's Ali here. Just a big congratulations. The RPUT Scotland boys in the Nations League had 3 fantastic results. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was really, the fact that he's obviously seen my goals and stuff like that, it means a lot, so it does.
It's amazing. He's a national treasure, Ali McCoist. So I think the more people that highlight it, the better it is for us to make people aware there is a sport out there for people.
Played on crutches with rules similar to 7-a-side, the sport is evolving fast, with leagues now operating in 30 countries worldwide. The team was founded in 2017 by Ashley Reid.
It's been amazing to watch the team grow over the last few years, you know, from what started as a handful of players that came along to the first training session. There could be so many more people that are actually getting the opportunity to play and don't know. So it's really important that we talk about it, that we get it out there in the public eye, and hopefully encourage more players to come forward and try it.
The team have their sights set on the Euros in 2028. For Harris, it's hoped this tournament will be the first of many.
That's every boy's dream, innit, to become a professional football player, but this is probably the next thing to it, so it is.
Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News, Glasgow.
Now Rahman is here. On you go.
I've got it.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Black Friday sale.
He said it as if he was going to fall asleep. Good evening. Ahead of Rangers' Europa League match against Roma tomorrow night, Danny Rule has described Austin Truss's foul on Jack Butland in Sunday's League Cup semi-final as dangerous, and said he can't understand why the Celtic defender wasn't sent off. Meanwhile, Martin O'Neill says Celtic's Europa League match against Michelin tomorrow night is massive, describing the Danish side as seriously good. Ronnie Charters reports.
3 days on, and still it is this moment from the League Cup semi-final that is dominating the headlines. Austin Trusty making contact with the head of Jack Butland, with referee Nick Walsh giving him a yellow. Rangers demanded an explanation from the SFA over the incident, and after a meeting slammed the association for an unsatisfying response. And today, Danny Rule gave his thoughts.
For me, it doesn't matter how, if there's a kick against the head, then you have to be really careful what you're doing there, and I think this is maybe for me a little bit too difficult to understand. For me, it doesn't matter if it's from the side or in front. A kick against the head is always dangerous.
On the field as Rangers prepare to face Roma in the Europa League, Chairman Andrew Kavanagh was at training today as the team looked to record their first win of the competition.
So far, I must say this is a great connection relationship. We are always in touch also after games. We speak. Sometimes it's a message. I think this is good.
Over at Celtic, Martin O'Neill took training this morning ahead of flying out to Denmark to face Michelin in their Europa League clash. But questions still linger as to who will take over permanently. One man who's seemed to rule himself out today is current Wales boss Craig Bellamy.
I couldn't want for anything more than what I have at this present moment. And that's where it lies with me. It doesn't, anything else is just not... it's not on my radar.
Sebastian Tenekte got his first goal for Celtic last week after his summer move from Sweden, and the winger says the squad are in a much better place after their recent upturn in fortune.
Well, I think the confidence now is growing a lot, especially also after the game now against Rangers. We want to go far in Europa League, you know, and as you said, maybe it wasn't the start wasn't the best, you know. As a team now, we are in a much better place, you know.
Callum Osmond has been called up to the Celtic Europa League squad, so he'll be available for the match tomorrow, replacing the injured Cameron Carter-Vickers. Ronnie Charters, STV Sport.
Derek McInnes has defended Hearts' style of play after former Celtic boss Brendan Rodgers' criticism of the Tynecastle side's DNA. McInnes says his team is good to watch as well as effective, that after the stunning start to the season. Jimmy Borthwick has more.
Unbeaten, 9 points clear at the top and 28 goals scored. But after defeating Celtic last month in what would prove to be Brendan Rodgers' final game in charge, the former Parkhead boss took aim at Hearts for playing direct, battling and set-piece focused football. So what does Derek McInnes consider to be his team's DNA?
I like watching my team. I've always liked to play with wingers, I've always liked to play with two strikers. We're not the biggest physical team. You can't have a front liner, Shankland, Braga, Kazaridis, whoever on the right, Benny and Devlin. We're big in the right places. We're not going to get pushed about, and we compete and fight with corner. But you know, it's wrong to think we're just a team that big and physical, because we play aggressively, which I think we expect. I've been more than pleased. I actually don't care too much. I think we're getting enough plaudits for results, and the results is why we're all here.
Captain Lawrence Shankland is the Premiership's top goal scorer, form that has seen him recalled to Steve Clarke's Scotland squad for the decisive matches against Greece and Denmark. Craig Gordon's once again named in the Scotland squad. The 42-year-old hasn't featured for Hearts since May.
He's training great. He trained great today with an 11-by-11. He was involved in that. So we're kind of replicating match situations a lot of time from him, although he's not getting onto in the first team at the minute. But you know, I think if anybody could do it, Craig would be able to deal with that side of it. But that's up for Steve to decide, isn't it?
Brazilian midfielder Ajew is back in training ahead of Sunday's Tynecastle clash against Dundee United. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
To tennis, and Cameron Norrie will face Frenchman Kylian Jacquet for a place in the semi-finals of the Moselle Open in Metz. Norrie progressed to the quarter-finals after fighting back from a set-down, defeating Arthur Cazot in 3 sets. It's the first time Norrie has reached the last 8 of a tour-level event since Wimbledon in July.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Black Friday sale.
And one of our final pieces of football news. St Mirren have received an initial allocation of 9,500 tickets for next month's League Cup final, which could rise to 17,000, depending on early sales. That's the sport for me tonight. John, it's all yours.
A big game for them. Thank you, Rahman. About
you got it.
Cheers. It's not yours, Sean. Is the bonfire night going to be spoiled?
Well, I mean, a wee bit of drizzle, but have you been outside? It is so mild. It's ridiculously mild, and we are not alone. Now, if you have a look at this chart here behind me, most of Europe in a southerly airflow just now, and this chart shows you how much above or below the temperatures are above average, and you can see pretty much the whole of Europe above average. Sweden, 7 degrees, parts of France, 6 degrees. The only areas around average, Greece and Italy, we're going to stay above average, but through this evening there'll still be drizzly outbreaks of rain, but misty out there too. Let's have a look.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, a little bit of a damp squib for bonfire night. OK, the worst of the rain's cleared away northwards, but we've still got some shower outbreaks of rain through the night, so still quite damp, very misty and murky in places as well. Of course, the bonfires and fireworks not going to help that. But have a look at these temperatures. 13, 14, even by day, that would be a couple of degrees above average for the time of year, but for night time, that is bonkers. So a bit of a crazy and very mild bonfire night. No scarves and gloves needed tonight. So very mild, cloudy, and still a little bit damp too. Now tomorrow morning, a wee bit of a slow start to the day. Misty, murky, cloud, showery outbreaks of rain. It should around lunchtime improve for a bit. So lunchtime, many of us become a bit drier and brighter, but we will start to see some rain coming back into Dumfries and Galloway and Ayrshire later on. Have a look at these temperatures. OK, Edinburgh, they might be up to 16, but look at us, 15 degrees Celsius. So very mild. Let's look at Glasgow. 15 degrees, 14, 13 into the weekend, 12 next week. OK, that graph is coming down, but here is the average. So you can see that's pretty crazy just now. We're well above average. And even next week, even though the temperatures come down, they're still a degree or two above the norm for the time of year. Friday and Saturday, unfortunately, the further west we're closer to weather fronts, so we'll always see a bit more cloud and some damp weather, especially parts of Ayrshire, Argyll and Bute. Drier and brighter the further east you go. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, as we heard earlier, bonfire night celebrations are getting well underway across the country. Festivities are kicking off at one organised display in Ayrshire, but with a difference. Kilwinning community is hosting a quieter and more family-focused display. Our reporter Raheem Cham is there for us now.
Yes, John, since 2017, Kilwinning Community Events has been celebrating Bonfire Night quite differently, with an early display of low-range fireworks in which they are especially designed for families and kids. Now, they are much more quieter but much more colourful, which has been proudly branded as a family display. Now, about 8,000 people are expected to be here today, in which they will be entertained with a wide range of family and kids' delights. So I've been speaking to families on how they have been experiencing this whole spectacle so far.
I'm looking forward to going on some cool rides and seeing the fireworks. I'm ready to see these fireworks. I love the colours, the noises and the shapes they make.
It's good for community spirit, for everybody to come along, and as I say, in a nice safe environment as well.
I think it's great to have somewhere like this that we can all come together for fireworks. Obviously public displays are the best way to go, so it's just great for a big community.
Well, those were the kids having an absolute blast here. Now, the big fireworks is about to happen here at 7 p.m. Now, we have one of the organizers here with me, Donald Reed. Donald, why do we have two different bonfire nights here in Kilwinning?
So that we have the early one to introduce families to fireworks and less bangs, so they can really get to see if they can enjoy fireworks or not without having the huge rockets going off. But come 7:30, we have the big family display, so it's a bit longer and a lot more rockets and a lot more noise.
Great, thank you very much. That's us live from Kilwinning, wishing everyone a great bonfire night.
Raheem, thank you. Enjoy firework night, stay safe. From all of us, thank you for watching. Have a great evening.